Okay, number one, we need to write our equation ultimately in standard form. So I can use standard form directly if my x values are consecutive integers and I have been given the y-intercept. So my integers are consecutive, or I should say my x values are consecutive integers, and I have my y-intercept. So we're going to go straight to standard. So with standard form, you have an A, a B, and a C to identify. My C is 1, and now we can find the A value. The first difference, I get plus 7 plus 3 down 1 and down 5. So this is your first difference. The second difference, we have minus 4, and minus 4. So your A value is the second difference divided by 2. So we have the A and the C. Now we need to find the B value. We are going to choose a point from the table that we've not used. So we cannot use 0, 1 again. So I'm simply going to use this point to plug in. Before we plug in the point for x and f of x, let's write what we already have. So we have an A value and we have a C value. For f of x, I'm going to plug in negative 8. For x, I'm going to plug in negative 3. And we're going to simplify the right side. This gives me positive 9 times negative 2. B times negative 3 is negative 3b. And then we're going to combine like terms. Minus 17. Now let's solve for b. We're going to add 17. And divide by negative 3. And my b value is negative 3. And our standard form is negative 2x squared minus 3x plus 1. Number 2, my x values are not consecutive integers, so I cannot use standard form directly. I have been given the roots, so I'm going to use factored form. With factored form, you have an A, a P, and a Q to identify. Now, the only way that you can find your A value from a function table is if your x values are consecutive integers, and they're not. But I do know my P is negative 2 and my Q is 4. So let's go ahead and write what we know. We have x minus negative 2 and x minus 4. Now, let's pick a point. I'm simply just going to use my y-intercept, and I'm going to replace f of x with negative 4 and x with 0. I'm going to simplify the right side. This is a times 2 times negative 4. This gives me a coefficient of negative 8. We're solving for a, so divide each side by negative 8, and my a value is positive 1/2. So we're going to write this in factored form. A is 1/2, x minus negative 2 times x minus 4. We're going to convert it to standard form. We're simply just going to multiply all these factors. First, I'm going to multiply my binomial factors. I get x squared minus 4x plus 2x minus 8. Combining like terms. And distribute through 1/2. And let's write that up here. So this is standard form. Number 3, my x values are not consecutive integers. I do not have my roots. What I do have is the vertex, so we're going to use our vertex formula. So we have an A, an H, and a K value to identify. My H is 2, my K is -6. So let's write in what we have. It's X minus my H value plus the K value. Let's pick a point other than the point we have used. So I'm going to simply pick the y-intercept, plug in 6 for f of x, 0 for x. We're going to simplify the right side order of operations. So I'm going to do my exponent. That gives me -2 and it's squared. So that's +4 times a. And now we're going to solve for a. Add 6. Divide by 4. And my a value is 3. So my vertex form for this equation is 3 times x minus 2 quantity squared minus 6. We're going to simplify. We're going to expand the exponent. Remember, when you multiply a binomial times itself, you get a perfect square trinomial. So I get x times x, then I get -2x and another -2x. And I'm using grouping symbols to remind myself that I am only multiplying this 3 to this trinomial, and I'm going to be subtracting 6 at the very end. So now I'm distributing the 3 and bringing down the -6. I'm going to combine like terms, and that is my final answer in standard form. Number 4. My x values are consecutive integers and I have the y-intercept. So we're going to go straight to standard where we have an A, a B, and a C to identify. My C is -10. Now let's find the A. My first difference, it's going down 1, down 3, down 5, and down 7. Again, that's the first difference. Now the second difference, I'm going down 2, down 2, down 2. So this tells me when I have a second difference that is constant, it tells me this function table is indeed quadratic. My value is the second difference divided by 2. So let's write in what we have. My a value is -1. We don't know the b value yet, and my c is -10. Let's pick a point other than what we've used. I'm just going to, we could pick the vertex. So you could have used vertex form, but anyway, I'm going to pick the vertex to plug in. 6 for f of x. Use in parentheses, guys. Please, please, please. When you're substituting a value, especially when it's negative, and we had this -1 coefficient. So this gives me 16, but times this -1, so that's -16, -4b minus 10. Combine your like terms and solve for b. And my b value is -8, and I do not have to convert this. This is going to be standard form. Woohoo!